Hispanic Heritage Month kicked off yesterday and it's going to last through mid-October. It's a time where we celebrate the culture, heritage, and history of the community that's especially significant in our region. Here to tell us more about the month-long celebration, we're talking with University of Houston Hispanic Studies professor Gabriela Baeza Ventura. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So first of all, let's talk about the significance of Hispanic Heritage Month. What does it mean? What is it for?
So on Hispanic Heritage Month, we celebrate the contributions and the presence of Latinos in the United States. And it kicks off the celebration of independence movements from Spain, from at least 10 countries, Spanish-speaking countries.
So there is some significance to it also being this time of year. Why do we start in the middle of the month, September 15th?
So on September 15th, we have about 6 or 7 countries that begin their celebration. So Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and then Mexico, of course, and then Chile on the 18th. And so it's a good opportunity to begin that celebration that will end a month from now.
Okay, and it's called Hispanic Heritage Month, but it includes all Latinos?
Exactly.
What's the difference here when we're talking about Hispanic, Latino? What's the difference in the two?
So the difference that we understand from the two of them is when we speak about being Hispanic, we make that reference to being Spanish speaking, that we come from a community that speaks Spanish. If we talk about Latino heritage, we talk about our heritage being of Latin heritage. So we could be both. We can be Spanish speakers of Latin heritage, such as, there's a community of Mexican Americans, for instance, or anybody who is Spanish, Spaniards who live in the United States. They're also, both represent both communities.
Yeah, people use the terms interchangeably, but I think some people do have a preference too on which you label them.
And sometimes Latino becomes a little bit more politicized because for a long time, communities didn't want to be associated with Spain because of the independence movements, right? Yeah. And so that's one of the most important, most significant reasons between that separation between being Latino or Hispanic.
What do you know of some celebrations happening this month? Anything that you want to tell people
Absolutely.
about?
So Mecca is having, and Talento Bilingüe de Houston are having many celebrations. I work I'm the deputy director at a publishing house, Arte Público Press, and so we invite people to read more literature, to read more about Latinos. There are many books that are written by Latinos who are writing from the U.S., so we invite people to go and read more about Latino writers.
Just Spanish-speaking books?
No,
or?
the Latinos write in English, Spanish, and Spanglish. And so that's what we're trying to celebrate and share, right? The Latinos are so complex. We come in a variety of colors. We come in a variety. Yeah. Our language is representative of all the experiences in the U.S. and our culture is so complex.
And why the celebration in our region? We started off this segment by saying that it's particularly important for here, but is it just because there's a large population, or do you think that specifically Southeast Texas has such a deep-rooted heritage?
Yeah, well, Southeast Texas does have a deep-rooted heritage. This used to be Mexico, right, up until 1848, and so and the first European language that was spoken in the Americas, especially in this territory, was Spanish. And so in the 1500s, and so the importance of celebrating gives us a sense of belonging, gives us a sense of understanding that we're all contributing to the nation. And it's a good way to begin to understand and break down stereotypes of who our neighbors are, and I think it's a wonderful opportunity for us to celebrate it, and especially here in Houston where we have such a diverse community. The United States, we have I think the latest reports from the Pew Center says that there are 62 million Latinos in the U.S.
Yeah,
and
it's huge.
It's huge. It's huge.
So for somebody who might not identify as being Hispanic, can they still celebrate? I mean, people tend to feel like outsiders sometimes when they're looking at these celebrations.
Yes, unfortunately, we tend to associate, Spanish speaking or looking Latino, as an identity that needs to be, as a marker that will allow you to celebrate your Hispanic Heritage Month. But that's not true. Latinos, like I said, Latinos are come in a variety of ways. We're very complex, and so so anybody can celebrate it, and anybody has the opportunity to to attend any of these events and to identify as Latino. It's an identity that we should all embrace, especially if you do have some of that heritage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Gabriela Baeza Ventura, that is all the questions I had to ask you. Is there anything else that you'd like to let people know before we part ways?
Just that that hopefully we begin to break down some of these barriers about who Latinos are, and we understand that Latinos are a complex community, and that we have been here for a long time. That we are immigrants, we are exiles, but we are also natives to the United States, and so it's a good opportunity to come out and read about our culture, learn about our culture, eat great food, and celebrate with us.
Very good. Thank you for coming in and helping us to better understand it as well.